Hey guys, so for this video, I'm gonna teach you some of the most useful high ground retakes in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2. The last time I made a video like this was the one about chronic physics, and let's just say those moves were not the easiest. That's why today, I want to take a step back and cover some simpler retakes. Be aware though, that does not mean these are going to be basic techniques that you've seen before. Everything I showcase will be new and will be very easy to incorporate into your build battles. On top of that, all of them will keep you protected in fights, won't use too many materials, and will actually help you steal back high ground in game. So with all of that being said, let's get right on into the retakes. The first retake I'm gonna cover is a little move I learned from FaZe Sway that I always find myself using in 1v1s. To do it, start off with a scissor ramp up, wait for your bottom ramp to extend out past your top one, and place a cone in front of you, above you, and out to your side. After that, turn around and build a wall directly behind you, another one to your left, and one more next to that under the cone. You then want to build the ramp that you'll jump on, edit the two left tiles of the cone up, and place a wall, which you will edit through like this. Once you do that, you're gonna turn around, build two walls behind you as well as a floor above you, and jump up onto the ramp you'll place beneath your feet. Next, go ahead and edit the two left tiles of the floor and place two walls, aka a high wall, to your side and in front of you. This will allow you to build ramps both below and above you, meaning you can run up through the ramp you're on and edit through the top wall while being protected. At full speed, this part should be performed in one smooth motion as I do here, without any sort of hesitation or loss of momentum. Anyways, back to the retake, and the last piece is to place another ramp, one final cone and floor, and finish with whatever move you like. Me personally, I like to do some sort of elevated cone jump with a quick 180 to go up for high ground, but again, that's all up to you. Now, the only part you may have trouble with is editing through the initial wall you place after the cone mix up. My advice is to make sure you edit through the wall with your blueprints out. This way when you go to edit, you don't have to slow down to pull out your weapon or your pickaxe. So if you're looking for an extremely safe and effective high ground retake that even the best creative warrior in the world uses, then this one is for you. Next up, the second retake we'll dive into is from yet another building god, Parallel Voe. What you do is begin with a normal ramp up instead of a scissor ramp and place a cone and floor at the end of it. After you do that, edit the left side of the floor, build a wall above the cone, and do an elevated cone jump out to the side. If you're experiencing difficulty with this, just remember to aim for the far side of the cone on your jump, not the closer side unless you like landing under the ramp. Continuing on, you're gonna look up after the cone jump, place a ramp above you, a cone on top of it, and another one to your right. This next part is basically the same as from the last retake, where you place two walls behind you and the other one on the far cone, then build a ramp for you to jump on. The big difference is you want to edit the two front tiles of the cone and immediately build a floor beneath you. Following that up, build another floor and a ramp on that to run up on, turn around, and build three walls straight up for your 180. The reason you do this is so you can connect to the highest wall, edit a window into it, and place a cone onto the other side. From your opponent's POV, they'll be building up and think they placed a wall, when out of nowhere they get coned because you placed your top wall before they did during your 180. Finally, you can end the retake however you want. I'll sometimes reset the window edit and then do like a slow 90 into a normal speed one to steal back height. Remember though, what you decide to do should depend on where your opponent is and whether or not you trap them with the cone. All in all, this is easily one of my favorite new retakes because of how beautifully straightforward it is. There's no high building, there's no impossible side jumps that only creative warriors can pull off, and it's actually pretty viable in build fights. Third up is a retake inspired by the beast, STZX20, that I highly suggest you all learn ASAP. How you do it is by starting with the classic scissor ramp up and covering the opening at the end with a cone and floor. You're then gonna edit the two left tiles of the floor and cone up, just like this, and place a ramp connected to the edited cone, a floor directly beneath that, and yet another ramp connected to that. After jumping on the bottom ramp, edit the top right tile of the floor, build a ramp off of it, and cover yourself again with a floor and cone. Be aware though, it is extremely important you make that floor edit exactly like I showed, because if you do not, and you edit more than one tile, the ramp will not place and you'll fall down to low ground. Regardless, from there, you want to edit the top left tile of both the floor and cone, build a wall, and then re-edit the cone into a structure that looks like this. Please, for the love of itsJerian, do not reset the cone edit with scroll wheel and edit like normal. Rather, you should start the edit, reset the edit without without confirming it and select the other tile. To finish the retake, do a 90 off of the re-edited cone we just went over, build a ramp with a cone at the top, also build a wall on either side of the ramp, edit through the wall, and do a forward-facing elevated cone jump. That is not the same as a normal elevated cone jump where you keep going in the direction you jumped in. It is forward-facing, meaning you jump and catch yourself in the direction you built the prior ramp. Altogether, this retake is insanely material efficient, and as you can see here from this angle, it's also very safe. You pretty much always have some sort of cover over your head, you're constantly reusing edits, and you're repeatedly switching directions to throw off your opponent. Moving on, the fourth retake is a pretty unique combination of chronic physics and other random moves. You can start with either a scissor ramp up or a normal single ramp, then you want to turn around and do a thwifo cone by building two walls above you and a cone on top. From there, you want to continue to scissor ramp until you extend your bottom ramp out past your top one, at which point you should place a floor directly beneath you, another one out to your side, and a ramp on top of the floor. That move right there is known as the booga side jump and is something I've shown numerous times in the past. Regardless, after the booga side jump, you're gonna do what's called a side thwifo cone, so place the normal two walls with a cone, but instead of turning back around, you're gonna jump up and land on a ramp position sideways. Immediately following that, you're going to use the momentum you have to do a regular elevated cone jump, remember to aim for the far corner, and finish with a 180 up for height. In my opinion, this is probably the fastest retake I'll show, just in terms of how short it is as well as how high you get. My recommendation for it is to really pay attention to your movement on the side thwifo cone, because if you don't, the last cone jump at the end will not be easy. So for all of you guys wanting retakes you can actually use in games and not just in creative, you're not going to find anything better than this. Second to last retake is another mashup of my favorite Season 2 techniques that does an incredible job at keeping you protected. Begin, as per usual, with a scissor ramp up and place a cone and floor at the end of it. Then, do an elevated cone jump, and right after you land, look straight down at the ramp you land on to place a cone. What this will do is build a cone directly above you that you will use for the rest of the retake. And how you'll utilize it is by editing the top left tile of the cone up and placing a floor under it, as well as one to the side and a ramp on the far floor. From there, you're going to turn around, do an extended thwifo cone, which is just a normal one with an extra cone attached to it at the end, and also add in a floor under the cone. Finally, edit through the floor and cone in any way you want, but instead of continuing to ramp up, reset the floor and cone edit and re-edit the cone into a ramp up for high ground. My only insight for this retake is that you have to place down the floor after the cone edit as soon as you possibly can. If you're slow and you wait, the cone will break off and you'll be exposed to your opponent. All in all though, this retake is another one of my favorites and a little flashier than the other ones I've showed. The good thing about it is that your opponent will not expect it, meaning you can easily take back height. For the last and final retake, I have my own personal concoction that I will jokingly call the itsJerian High Ground Supreme version 2. Start by ramping up at your opponent, who, if you use this retake, should also be ramping straight at you, and place a cone. Then, place a wall in front of your ramp, one out to the side, and two more ramps off of the wall next to you. At that point, you want to cover yourself with a cone and floor, edit the right side of both of them, build a cone attached to the edited one, and secure it with a wall and a ramp. Now for the hard part, what you want to do is edit the cone up, place a floor beneath your feet like you did in the other retake to stop your builds from breaking, and lastly, do a 1-jump 180 up for high ground. The reason I love this retake is probably the beginning of it where you go up and around your opponent. Way too many people try to do fancy retakes too early on, and it just doesn't work out. With the itsJerian High Ground Supreme V2, however, you start doing the bulk of the retake in the second half of it, which will surely win you the build fight. Overall guys, those are 6 simple, useful, and decently nice looking high ground retakes. Let me know down below in the comments which of them was your favorite, as well as any useful retakes I may have missed. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like it's hard to come by any practical retakes on YouTube anymore. Everything is either some crazy high building garbage, or is way too basic to show off in a vid. So if you enjoyed this video or you learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and to turn on post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code itsJerian. Please remember my code is itsJerian and not itsJerian. Some random weirdo has that code and it's not mine, so again, use code itsJerian. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.